I spent over 3 hours on this failure. I said I was going to give up several times during this project, but I decided that I was going to keep pushing forward and figure out how to fix my mistakes. I was watching a YouTube video on how to etch an image of a dog, and it was from the Imag-R YouTube channel. I went to their website. I uploaded a picture of my dog because I thought that'd be kind of cool to be able to do. And I was following the steps of the YouTube video, except for one key point that I didn't realize that I had to do in the Imag-R website versus in the Lightburn program. So while this was burning into this piece of plywood, I thought, man, I need to just stop. But then I started seeing like the image show up, and I was like, okay, I want to see how this turns out now. It's starting to look cool. Well, then I got too invested to stop, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna let this thing run all the way out. And it actually started looking pretty cool as the light was going past it as it was burning the image in. And so I was determined to see how this would turn out, because I'd hate it if I stopped the laser and then it turned out to be kind of cool. But it turned out not so cool. This is my process that I used when I was going through the Imag-R website and using Lightburn, and then as I started to troubleshoot my problems, here's what I did, and here's all my mistakes. All right, so I am at Imag-R.com, and I am going to go to easy mode. I'm going to upload my image. I'm going to do my bulldog here. I'm going to open this and tell it to upload. There it is. This is my dog. Hit continue. And then I want this at 318 DPI. I'm just going to leave the width and the height all the same. Hit continue. I'm going to be engraving this on wood, and I'm going to hit generate. This takes a little bit. Still waiting. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to lighten it because I think the darks were too hard for my laser engraver. So I'm going to lighten the image, and all you have to do is click this button, and then it'll start to process and lighten it a little bit. I'm going to do it a couple times. All right, I'm going to hit lighten again. I'm going to hit lighten one more time. All right, and then you can look at it and you can preview on the material if you wanted. And so I have birch. All right, so this is what it could look like depending on the laser settings. So now I'm going to go ahead and download this ditherd file, not the grayscale. All right, that has now downloaded. When you bring it in, it's going to be really large, and I'm just going to go ahead and shrink this down. And I'll be honest, I did this before right here, and this was not light enough. It had too much darkness to it, so I've lightened it. And so I tried to run this image before, and I tried using some settings that were done on YouTube, and it was like 15% of an 80 watt CO2 laser, and it was 120 millimeters per second. I have a 22 watt laser, and so I did all the math, and this was what it said was equivalent to that. So I set it at this, and it took forever, and it did not come out very well. So that is way too much power. I'm going to reduce this down to probably 30% and just see how that does. I'm just going to do a small section to see how it turns out rather than the whole entire image again. But what you do want to do is make sure that you have pass-through on. And so just make sure you turn pass-through on if you are just using this image that came from the Imag-R website. So I'm going to delete this, and I do want it to cut out, so I'm going to have these two cut out. Now for the power, I'm going to turn this down to 30% and have it etch out. I might even turn that down to, I'm going to just try it at 25%. So it estimates the amount of time at 1 hour and 59 minutes. And so that's what it was last time, but it actually took closer to 3 hours to get this completed. So I probably won't be doing this again. All right, I'm trying just this little tiny section, and it's going to take, this thing estimates about 16 minutes, and this is how fast it's going. So I want to see if this looks better than what it did up there. 9 minutes have passed, and this is how much it has gotten done. So I don't think I'm going to even bother doing this. All right, so this is the major mistake right here, is I did not adjust the width and the height like I was supposed to when I changed the DPI. So this was 26 inches, and so I should have shrunk it down to the 4 inches that I wanted, and then set the DPI and just use that file from the Imag-R website instead of trying to shrink it down here. Is what it looked like once I changed the image to this size right here in the Imag-R page. The image looks different than the previous one, and it took way less time. If I click on the preview button, it says it's only gonna take 15 minutes to this whole entire image, and the quality turned out way better. So I'm really happy with this, and I will be doing more portraits burned into the wood. That was my major mistake, was I was not adjusting the size in the Imag-R page. I was adjusting it here in Lightburn, shrinking it down like this, and that is not what you do.
All right, I think I figured it out. So I'm really happy with that, and I could actually stand doing this again.